The story starts with a peaceful city in Japan, suddenly attacked by a giant monster known as a kaiju. An emergency alert is sounded, directing people to safety as the city faces massive destruction. The defense force, experienced in dealing with such threats, quickly arrives. It's the 3rd Division, known for their efficiency, and they quickly engage the kaiju. A girl in the division wields a large cannon, delivering a fatal blow to the monster. Kafka, the protagonist, is in awe of the destruction and the size of the monster, as its body parts are scattered everywhere. While citizens cheer on the 3rd Division, Kafka's less glamorous job begins. His team is responsible for cleaning up the aftermath, dissecting the kaiju's remains, and disposing of them. Though not as heroic as fighting the kaiju, their work is crucial. As Kafka and his team handle the monster remains, an accident happens when someone mishandles a piece of the kaiju, leading to an explosion and injuries. Kafka, familiar with such injuries, manages the situation effectively. Despite the vital nature of their job, Kafka feels the lack of appreciation as they are tasked with cleaning up the huge mess within a week. Kafka is then assigned to work on the kaiju's intestines, a task that is as unpleasant as it sounds. But he pushes through. Exhausted, he returns home, trying to shake off the smell of his day's work. He watches a news report about Mina, the captain of the 3rd Division, who is not only popular, but also Kafka's old friend. They had once promised to fight kaiju together, and while Mina has risen to prominence, Kafka has ended up in a support role. The contrast between their paths weighs on Kafka, but he tries to focus on the positives. The next day, Kafka meets a new part-time student at work named Ichikawa, who is determined to join the defense force. Unlike Kafka, who gave up on that dream, Ichikawa is resolute in his ambitions. Kafka admits to Ichikawa that he recognized his own limitations and chose a different path, which Ichikawa finds hard to understand. Tensions arise as Kafka is assigned to clean the intestines again, and he is determined to prove his worth, despite feeling underestimated by his past decisions. After seeing Ichikawa struggle with the smell of the intestines, Kafka feels a bit better about his own tough day. He notices Ichikawa didn't bring much food, so Kafka hands him a vitamin drink. He insists that Ichikawa eats and drinks as much as possible to get through the day, and offers him some nose plugs to help with the smell. At the end of the day, everyone cleans up and some people leave. Ichikawa thanks Kafka for helping him through the tough day. He mentions that the age limit to join the defense force is now 33, which makes Kafka think about joining again. Ichikawa suggests that Kafka could quit his current job if he wants, but Kafka just thanks him, realizing Ichikawa is nicer than he thought. Suddenly, a monster appears and attacks them. Kafka saves Ichikawa just in time, but he is badly hurt. The monster is called Yoju, and Kafka tells him to run and get help. Ichikawa doesn't want to leave Kafka behind, but Kafka insists, reminding him he won't be able to join the defense force if he dies. Kafka then leads the monster away, trying to dodge its attacks. He ducks into a building and runs through a glass window. Kafka remembers the past with Mina. They both lost a lot during a kaiju attack. Mina was upset about losing her cat, Miko, and they both decided to join the defense force, challenging each other who will be cooler defense force officer. Back in the present, Kafka realizes he shouldn't be running away. He tries to fight the monster but can't stand a chance. The monster breaks his leg and he feels hopeless. Just then, Ichikawa comes back to save him. Kafka calls him an idiot for returning, but Ichikawa says he already called the defense force. He couldn't leave Kafka behind. Kafka feels guilty for not being able to protect anyone. As the monster is about to attack again, it suddenly explodes. Mina has arrived with the 3rd Division of the defense force. She and her team start to help the injured, while Kafka lies there, shocked and unresponsive. That night in Yokohama Hospital, Kafka marvels at Mina's incredible ability to eliminate a terrifying monster so quickly. He feels that she has reached a level far beyond his own. While reflecting, Kafka is surprised to find that Ichikawa is right next to him in the hospital. Ichikawa tells him that if it weren't for Kafka's actions, he would be dead. He even calls Kafka cool, which makes Kafka think about his old competition with Mina to become the coolest officer. This makes Kafka reconsider his negative mindset. He punches himself lightly to snap out of it, thanking Ichikawa for reminding him what he's capable of. Kafka then declares confidently that he will try again to become a defense force officer. However, their conversation is interrupted when a monster suddenly appears above Kafka and forces itself into his mouth. Ichikawa is horrified to find Kafka has turned into a monster. Kafka manages to calm Ichikawa down and tries to explain it's still him, despite the monster's influence. Suddenly, an older man arrives and calls the defense force, panicking at the thought of what happens to kaiju when they're captured. Ichikawa urges Kafka to run, recalling a conversation Kafka had with Mina on how to immobilize kaiju, which included targeting the legs and tying them up. Mina, scared at the thought of fighting, had been reassured by Kafka that he would be by her side. Now in the present, Mina reflects on Kafka's promise as she hears about a kaiju sighting at Yokohama Hospital. Mina declares she will handle the situation herself,